Well, it looks like it's going to be a nice hot day, probably too hot for me anyway, but there we are. In the past, I've shown you a couple of car books, like, Dad's Cars and things like that. I think BBC Publications put out several of these, and if you look in the videos, you're bound to come across them. But this is one that I read a while ago and I found it quite entertaining. It's this: TV Cars, Star Cars from the World of Television. And there you see John Sim and I've forgotten his name now, isn't it terrible? From Life on Mars. That looks like a Cortina Mark III, I think. Sim is a lot slimmer there anyway, and a lot younger. Well, inside I'll try and show you some of the pictures in here, and there's details about each of the cars. The book's by Giles Chapman. That's a K-Reg, that Mark III Cortina, as I'm assuming it is. Lotus Super 7 there, you probably remember that from The Prisoner. And I had a friend when I was in my teens, and an older friend of his had actually a real Lotus Super 7, not the kit version, one of it. There's the Saints car there. Opposite Patrick number 6 McGowan proves he's a free man, The Prisoner. Above, Simon Templar's glamorous Volvo from The Saint. Adam Adamant, anyone remember that series? I loved that. Nice mini there. I think most of the, I think there's a DVD out with some of the remaining episodes. This is The Adventurer, Chevrolet Camaro and Corvette, and Gene Bradley at Nice Airport. Don't tend to get this kind of thing now. Oh, The Apprentice, Alan Sugar. Well, that's a whopping big Jaguar, as you might know. The A-Team, GMC and G15 van, Chevrolet Corvette. That's the A-Team. I've got some of the DVDs. I don't know how I ended up with them. The Avengers and the New Avengers, Lotus Elan and Lotus Europa, Bentley 3 litre, AC428 Jaguar and XJ12C and others. And there we are, John Steed. And he's like his bowler hat. The Avengers, later incarnation with Gareth Hunt, I think it was. The Baron, great series, Jensen CV8. Batman, the Batmobile. Loads of details about it. And then Bergerac, Triumph 1800 Roadster. Now, I understand that I think it was 3 that they had of these models, identical, because sometimes they'd have a mishap or they break down, etc. And I think there was a competition eventually when Bergerac finished, and someone won the car in this big raffle or competition, and they were quite dissatisfied when they got it. I think it must have been an auction thing rather than a raffle, and they contacted John Nettles and they said to him, "What, I was disgusted at the appalling condition you left the Triumph Roadster in that I paid money for." And, as if it's John Nettles' fault about the condition of the car. Captain Scarlet, Cheetah, Charlie's Angels, Ford Mustang and Pinto, and Colombo, Peugeot 403 Cabriolet, Now, I had always wondered what model of car that was, and it's only through reading this book that I discovered that. You can get all the DVDs, all the shows on the DVD box set now. Doctor Who, Siva, Whomobile. That's still running now. It's still actually going. It turns up in photographs. Do you remember this couple driving school? Lada Reeva and Maureen Reese, the pupil from hell, and a long-suffering husband, Dave, seeming to enjoy a trip in their Lada. Oh, dreadful cars. Dukes of Hazzard, Dodge Charger. There we are. What do they call it? The General Lee or something like that. The Equalizer, Jaguar XJ6. And Edward Woodward. I used to like him when he was in Callan. That's a lot easier. The infamous Austin 1100, Faulty Towers, where John Cleese gives us a damn good beating. And my wife always says when she sees that, she had a Morris Minor, and it would play up a bit like that. And she used to remind her of something she would have wished to have done to that car. She was so frustrated with it. Heart to Heart, Rolls-Royce Corniche, Ferrari Dino, 246 GTS, and Mercedes-Benz SL. This is from Heartbeat. Morris Minor. We were just talking about a Morris Minor, weren't we? And I think that's still on the road, that one. They have rallies up at the place where Heartbeat was filmed, and it's sort of the car rallies and things like that. Here we are. Lexus, Alan Partridge, Inspector Morse, classy Jaguar, that. Very nice. This made me laugh. If you're old enough to remember the series, Man in a Suitcase, Hillman Imp. Do you remember this? Actor Robert Bradford, in his role as McGill in the super 1960s detective series, genuinely raised the standard for gritty, brooding performances in the genre. He did not, it must be said, to do much for the image of the Hillman Imp. Hillman Imp, we had a neighbour. I'm not going to go through the rest of them because there's loads. Randall Knockout, deceased. We used to have a neighbour in our first house, and he had a Hillman Imp, and he was what they call a totter or tatter or whichever. And he used to get all sorts of things. He'd come back with furniture on the top, the roof of this Hillman Imp. I'd seen him with a sofa, a three-seater sofa, and a chair on the roof of this Hillman Imp. They were known to be dreadful cars anyway, but he'd turn up with that, sometimes a washing machine on the top that he'd picked up for his wife, and paid a pittance for it. And he was a damn nuisance as a neighbour, I will say that. But this Hillman Imp, it never seemed to break down. And lots of other people that I knew that had them over a period of time, they would just say, oh, they're awful. You know, the engine would overheat because, of course, the engine was in the rear. But he never seemed to have any trouble with that car, and he had it for some years. And he also had a Hillman Avenger, if you ever remember that pile of rubbish, made by the same manufacturers, obviously. And they had a notorious record for rusting away and pieces falling off them. And I worked with some people in the early 80s, and they'd worked on Hillmans, and they said what appalling cars they were. Anyway, going back to my point, you never had any trouble with this Hillman Avenger, so there's no justice, is there? Well, I hope you've enjoyed seeing those cars and that book. As I say, you can still pick copies of this up on eBay by Giles Chapman. Knight Rider kit, Miami Vice, Ferrari Daytona, Minder Daimler 66, Only Fools and Horses, Reliant Regal van, the Professionals Ford Capri, the Saint Volvo P 1800, Starsky & Hutch Ford Gran Torino, the Sweeney Ford Granada and Jaguar S-Type, and Thunderbirds Rolls-Royce Fab 1. And we all know that Lady Penelope drove that, don't we? Okay, that's me done for today, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, leave a comment. Maybe you have a memory about a car that's featured in there, and whether it be good, bad or indifferent. If you've not subscribed, why not subscribe now? Because you won't miss any of the videos then, and you'll get a notification that I've put another one up. I try to do one every day if I possibly can anyway. Okay, have a great day. Bye for now, and thanks for taking the time to watch this. And thanks to all the new subscribers and the older ones that have stuck with me. Bye.